Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Let's continue implementing the code behind of the main window. We need in this main window the auth view model, product view model, main view model, snack bar controller, and the wishlist manager view model. Let's resolve those dependencies by calling app container and resolve. Next, we have to handle the actions under main view model as well as the actions under auth view model. Let's create those dedicated functions. And we have to initialize all the needed stuff under the snack bar. Let's create those methods to the bottom of the file. All right, let's start with, for example, initialize auth view model actions. If the auth view model is not null, if it's null, we're gonna do here an early return. Next, we have to handle the event on unauthenticated. In unauthenticated, we have to navigate to the page 401. We're going to navigate to the page 401 if only we are trying to navigate to a private route. Let's check first of all if the main view model is not null. That the auth view model is not null, and we have the navigation service. By doing main layout and navigation service, if all those dependencies are not available, we have to make here an early return. Next, you have to check if we are under a private route, we're going to navigate to the page 401. From the main view model, latest visited screen, if it's not public, yet to be implemented, let's create it. To navigate to the page 401, pass to this function the navigation service of type navigation service, layout and navigation service. To avoid basically checking if we have the navigation service or not, in this case, we're going to create the page 401. And whenever we're going to click on the return home, we have to navigate to the home screen. Before that, we have to set the current destination by calling on event, new home screen to be saved in the database. And you have to use the navigation service and navigate new home screen. This section is going to only be triggered when we click on the return home button. Now we can navigate to the screen. And that's pretty much it for initialize auth view model actions. This function has been implemented. Let's implement initialize main view model actions. We need to handle the event on products added to wishlist and on products removed from wishlist. That's all. Let's create those methods. In this particular handler, we have just to show the snack bar text removed from wishlist or added to wishlist. Now we have to initialize the snack bar. All we have to do is to set the application snack bar data context snack bar controller. Let's fold this. Now let's implement all the other methods. Let's start with on search click. Basically, we have to navigate to the product search results screen. We have to make sure that we have the navigation service from the navigation data. You can use actually the navigation service, or you can use the main layout or the main window navigation service. Now we can create the product search screen by passing the product ID from the navigation data. Now we have to set the data context to product view model. And for the pagination trigger command, it has to be from the view model next command. Whenever the screen is ready, you can also do, for example, loaded. The second parameter is going to be the product ID. Whenever this page is ready, first of all, we have to trigger the event, set current breadcrumb navigation to change from the previous breadcrumb navigation to the current destination. Search, for example, from the string resource. Let's do, for example, label search. This section is going to be replaced by label search. Afterward, we have to trigger the event, search products, new search product. Gonna fold this. Next, we have to implement the handler breadcrumb item click triggered. In case we have clicked home screen, we have to navigate to the home screen. By doing breadcrumb equal home, we have to navigate to home screen. Let's create this function, and we have to pass here the navigation service. Let's implement it later on. Gonna fold this section. We are done basically with this event handler. For the next event handler, it's gonna be on learn more click, yet to be implemented. Let's change this to product ID. Before navigating to this screen, which is the product search result screen, we need to set the current destination by calling main view model new on set current destination. It's product search result screen destination. Next, we're going to use the navigation data and navigation service and navigate to the screen. All right, we have to implement the on learn more click, as well as navigate to home screen. Let's start with navigate to home screen. It's going to be very simple. First of all, we have to create the home screen. Next, we have to handle the learn more click. It's going to be on learn more click. We have to set the current, it's optional actually. I'm going to copy this to set the home screen as the latest visited route, even though it's the default one. And we have to use the navigation service. That's pretty much it. Now we have to implement on learn more click. We have to navigate to product details screen. We have to check first of all that we have the navigation service under main layout. And we have to check if we have the view model, snack bar, auth view model, and main view model. Otherwise, we have to make an early return. Next, we have to create the product details screen. Let's call it screen. And we have to pass the ID from the parameter. We have to set right here the data context product view model. And for the toggle wishlist command parameter, it is product ID. Now we have to use the explicit binding to bind the target property state under the screen, product detail screen, to the product view model. The source property name is state, and the mode should be one way. We need to create another binding for the target property toggle wishlist command property. This dependency property should be bound to the main view model toggle wishlist command. And the last property that we have to bind under the target, which is the product detail screen, the dependency property authenticated user dependency property. It has to be bound to the source property name under auth view model, which is authenticated user. Now, whenever this screen is ready, we have to access the product ID. We have to reset the breadcrumb navigation to make it product detail screen as the initial second breadcrumb item. And we have to trigger the event load products. We have to pass as the first argument the product ID and the second argument, which is on error. If the exception is not null, we have to navigate to the page 404. There is no product with this particular ID yet to be implemented. And we have to show the snack bar message, for example, error fetching the data. With the same manner, if we click, for example, on home screen, we have to navigate to home screen under the breadcrumb. I'm going to copy this and paste it here. And if the navigation data and data equal home screen and the navigation data is not null, going to navigate to home screen for this section. And before navigating, we have to set the current destination to product details screen destination. Then we have to pass as an argument the product's ID. We have to navigate using the main layout navigation service. Now let's handle navigate to page 404. Copy the same logic under navigate to page 401 and use it here. Instead of creating page 401, we have to create page 404. Now we have to clear the text query. We have to check if the product view model is not null. If it's available, we have to trigger the event clear query. All right. On logo click, we're going to navigate to home screen. On suggested products selected, we're going to rename this to navigation data. Let's access the product preview or the selected product preview. Of course, it's going to be from the navigation data. And we have to navigate to the product detail screen. Under the on learn more click, I'm going to copy all the logic here and create a dedicated function. I'm going to call it navigate paste it here. We need the product ID. Now we have to use this on learn more click to navigate to the product detail screen. And on suggested products selected, we have to navigate to product detail screen and we have to pass the product and ID. Let's fold this. I think the only function that we have to implement right now is on wishlist click. I'm gonna rename it actually on wishlist manager click. Under the main window, I'm gonna rename it to wishlist manager click. With the same logic, we have to create a function that's going to navigate to wishlist manager. We have to check if the user is authenticated to navigate to this particular screen. Is unauthenticated by using basically the auth view model and authenticated user equal null. Let's create this function. If the user is not authenticated, we have to navigate to page 401. Otherwise, we can proceed. We need to access the navigation service if we have the wishlist manager view model, and we have the service, which is main layout navigation service. gonna do an array return, and we have to pass the main layout and navigation service. Now, if the user is authenticated, we have to register handlers for on wishlist item delete success. We don't care about the parameter. Now, whenever the user has successfully deleted from the wishlist manager screen selected products, we're going to close the dialog. And you have to show a snack bar message removed from wishlist. That's about it for this handler. Now we can create the screen. I think that we have to implement another handler on wishlist item delete error. Now it's up to you, to be honest, whether to keep the dialog open or to close the dialog. I don't know, perhaps I'm gonna keep it open. Instead of success, I'm gonna show an error message, error removed from wishlist. Now we can create the screen. Now for the data context, it should be the wishlist manager view model. And whenever the screen is ready, we have to load basically the list or the wish list of the authenticated user. By triggering the event, get wishlist items, we're gonna show a snack bar message, error fetching the data, for example. All right, now it's time for the binding section. We need to bind basically under the wishlist manager screen, the dependency property state. It has to be bound to the wishlist manager view model state. It's the only binding that we have to make. Now for the handlers, delete click, products click, I'm gonna copy this, yet to be implemented, products click. And whenever we click on the breadcrumb navigation, we have to implement those later on. Next, we have to set the current destination to this particular screen. Then we can navigate to this particular destination by doing main layout, navigation service. And it's a good idea actually before navigating to the screen to reset the breadcrumb navigation items. Now let's create on delete click, on products click, and on breadcrumb item click triggered. Let's start with on breadcrumb item click triggered. We have to check if we have the navigation service. If we have the navigation service, we're going to navigate to the home screen. Let's rename this to breadcrumb. On products click, let's store this products ID. I'm gonna change this to navigation data, and we have to navigate to product detail screen, and we have to pass as an argument the products ID. For the last one, on delete click, we have to open the dialog. However, we have to check if we have the view model, wishlist manager view model, and we have an authenticated user. Under the main view model, we have the state user ID. In other words, we have an authenticated user. In this case, I'm gonna do here an error return if we don't have those dependencies. Now we have to set the selected product to be deleted by triggering the event set selected wishlist item events. Now we have to prepare the dialog, which is delete wishlist item dialog content. First of all, for the data context, it should be wishlist manager view model. And for the product title, it is the wishlist item or the selected wishlist item. And we have to set here the product detail, which is null. And the title, it is nullable, sorry. If it's null, we have to assign here an empty string. And we have to specify here the delete command parameter, which is the user ID. We have only one binding that we have to set, which is under the delete wishlist item dialog content, the dependency property delete command property should be bound to the wishlist manager view model delete wishlist item command. And the binding mode should be one-way binding. Now let's attach the other event handler close dialog. Now we have to close the dialog. Afterward, we have to show the dialog and confirm dialog. And you have to pass here the ID up dialog host. Instead of task, it should be void. I think that we have implemented everything. Hopefully, we haven't overlooked something. Before I forget, actually, we have to implement another method or another event handler whenever the main layout is ready by doing main layout and layout mounted. Let's call it on layout mounted. What we have to do here is very simple. We have to navigate to home screen. And I think that's pretty much it for the window implementation. Now let's come back to the application. We are done basically with the main window. Now we have to handle the aperture of the splash screen and the main window. Now for the code behind of the application, we have to show the splash screen as soon as the application started by overriding the function or the method on startup. First things first, we need to install all the dependencies. And you have to access the startup event arguments to decide whether to install the test dependencies or to install the production dependencies. Let's create the method install dependencies. We have to check if we are under test environment yet to be implemented. Let's call this function is running in test mode. Let's pass here the startup event arguments, generate this method. If it is running under test environments, we're gonna do app dependencies and install test dependencies, otherwise normal dependencies. Now how to check if we are under test environment or not? Once launching the application under end-to-end test, we're gonna pass as an argument to the application a data or a flag. According to that argument, we're going to return true or false. Now, in order to get the argument from the startup event args, let's access the first argument because we're going to send to the application only one argument once launching the application in the end-to-end test. We're gonna check the data or the entry under the arguments that starts with this kind of flag, if you will, environment, string comparison, ordinal, ignore case. Under all the arguments, we're going to look for the argument that has this kind of flag or this kind of variable environment. Now we have to check if the event argument is not null. Otherwise, we have to do here false. It's not running under test mode. If it's not null, let's first of all try to split. Okay, we have forgot something here. We need to add the equal sign. We're gonna pass something like under the environment equal test mode or whatever. Now the logic is very simple. We're going to get the whatever data that we're going to pass here, all right, by environment arguments. And you have to split using this separator, and you have to access the second value, which is the value after this equal sign. Next, we have to return if this environment, and you have to find actually a flag for this under constant pocket goods environment test mode. We're going to say that we are under test mode, otherwise we are not under test mode. It should be equal to constant pocket goods environment test mode and ordinal ignore case. In this case, we can say that we are under test mode. Let's add a static keyword and let's add a static keyword. When we're going to launch our application under end-to-end test, we have to do test like this, and it's going to be picked up as soon as the application starts by installing the test dependencies. This is basically the idea. Now let's try to resolve all the dependencies. Let's create the dependencies here. We need splash screen, main view model, snack bar controller, and the main window, and the database, and the auth view model. After installing dependencies, we have to resolve those dependencies. Now for performance, I'm going to set the process render mode to default render mode. Basically, it's gonna check if it's possible to set the hardware as the render mode, otherwise it's gonna be the software render mode. And now we have to show the splash screen and close the splash screen accordingly. I'm gonna create a private function for this. I'm gonna call it run startup flow async. Let's add here async keyword because we're going to deal with asynchronous functions under our view model. Now we have to show the splash screen. First of all, I will initialize here the latest destination. And for the main window under the application, the main window in this case should be the splash screen by doing main window equals splash screen. Next, we have to show the splash screen. I'm gonna give some time for the animation to render correctly by doing await and task. The animation is going to roughly take 1 second. Now the animation is finished. We have to ensure that the database has been created. Let's wrap this with try catch by doing database context and database and ensure created. And for the exception, we don't care actually about the exception. Otherwise, if you want to do or print something here for debugging purposes, now we have the database. We have to trigger the event under the main view model to load the application data. And because we're going to change the text loader under splash screen, we have to check first of all if we have the splash screen, and we're going to interact with main view model. Let's check if we do have the value of main view model. Now we can proceed by calling basically the event on load data Now we have a couple of actions that we have to implement in order to change the value of the text loader under splash screen. The first action actually is on load. Application settings started. It's going to be triggered as soon as we're going to start loading the data. I'm going to provide the others and we're going to do the rest accordingly. All right, I guess that we have to add another callback function to set latest destination after loading the data. All right, let's add it here. Let's go back to the main view model. And here we have to do on latest destination loaded. Otherwise, it's not going to be triggered. Now let's come back to the app code behind. We have here the destination. All right. Now, as soon as we are starting to load the data, I'm going to change the text loader from string resource, loading application settings text. We're going to check for the credentials. Let's show under the splash screen from string resource, checking credentials or something like this. Now we are done checking the credentials. If the user successfully authenticated after using the old GWT token, we have to trigger the event under auth view model to set the authenticated user. And let's initialize the name of the user here. It's going to be nullable to show it actually in the snack bar message. Now we have to change once again the text loader to loading store data, for example. Let's wrap this within try catch. Let's change the loader to from string resource, loading store text, loading pocket good store. Let's wait for 1 second to close the splash screen. All of these actions are going to be executed and running in a fast pace. After 1 second, we have to close the splash screen. And now the main window should be switched to the main window. Our main window that we have implemented earlier. And we have to show the main window. Now we have to handle the navigation recovery. We need actually the latest destination to navigate to for the second parameter, whether this user is authenticated or not. If the username is null, we can say that the user is not authenticated. Let's add here is unauthenticated. First of all, check if the main window is not null and the destination or the latest destination is not null. Otherwise, we have to do an early return. Now we have to switch on the destination. In case of home screen, we can access basically the method navigate to home screen that we have defined under the main window. If the navigation service is not null under the main window, let's do here an early return. Now we can navigate. Let's switch the visibility of navigate to home screen to public under main window. Navigate to home screen should be public. Navigate to home screen, and we have to pass as an argument navigation service. Now, in case of products detail screen destination, we have to get the products ID from the destination. Let's get the path value, and we have to access basically the value of the ID. Let's implement this under destination. Under destination, let's create a public static function. Let's call it try get path value. Now we have to access the values after this separator. This is going to allow us to access the latest occurrence after this particular separator. Now the index should be actually between 0 and the latest character. In this case, we're going to return the remaining string after this character. By doing a return, we can access the route. It has to be index +1 and the rest of the characters as an array. And as a fallback, empty or a null string. Now let's come back to the code behind. We can access right now the try get path value, and we have to convert it to long. Let's add another extension function on util, a new class. Let's call it string extension. It's going to give us long. It should be nullable to long. Let's call it value of type string. This will return long and try parse. As the first argument, it should be the value and the output variable result, results, and null. Let's come back to the application code behind. And here we can do to long. Right now we have the products ID. If the products ID is null, we're going to do an early return. We won't navigate to any destination. Otherwise, we have to access main window and we can do navigate. Let's come back to the window code behind. Navigate to product detail screen. I'm going to put it here. And it should be public and products ID and value, of course. All right, now for the wishlist manager screen destination, let's come back here and let's make it public. navigate to wishlist manager screen. In case of wishlist manager screen destination, which is the private route, and we have to navigate to wishlist manager screen, and we have to pass as an argument if the user is authenticated or not. If the user is not authenticated, we're going to navigate to page 401. Therefore, this navigate to wishlist manager screen is protected. I think that's pretty much it for handle navigation recovery. We're gonna fold those sections. Now, if we have an error or some kind of exception, we won't do anything. All right, we have handled this. We have handled this as well. We have 3 more actions to implement. With the same manner, we have to switch text loader to the value load in store or something like this directly from string resource. Oh, I'm sorry, it's not this. It should be here. The only difference between auth failed and auth success, it's going to be pretty much the same thing, except we're not going to pass here the username equal null. We know for sure that the username is null. Now we can add the delay and to close the splash screen and to show the main window and to handle navigation recovery. And of course, in this case, the user is not authenticated. Let's fold this. On theme loaded, if the user has already selected before, closing the application dark theme, we're going to set it to dark theme. Otherwise, it has to be set to light theme. Theme switcher and apply dark theme and break. Otherwise, apply light theme and break. On latest destination loaded, we have right now the latest destination. We have to change it by doing latest destination to destination. And actually in the view model, what's going to happen in the view model, once setting latest destination, here we're going to change the state of latest destination. And that's all for the run startup flow async. Now to enhance the user experience, this is again a personal preference. Whenever the user exits the application, we have to clear the data, clear cached user, and delete the protected GWT token. How to do so? Let's create a public constructor for this application. And we have an event handler exit. Let's call it on exit. Let's move it to the bottom. First things first, we have to resolve the dependency iCrypto service. I'm gonna wrap everything within try catch. Let's get the iCrypto service and let's inject the authentication use cases to delete the cached user. Now we have to check if the services crypt service is null or the use cases null. We have to do here an early return. We can do use cases and clear cached user and invoke. And we have to check if the file exists before deleting the protected token, which is the constant and the token file name and delete protected file. And if we have an error, I'm not going to do anything. Let's change this to void. And that's all. We haven't used actually the snack bar controller. Let's check if the snack bar controller is not null and the username is not null. Let's show the snack bar text logged in, and the text logged in has a placeholder. We have to replace the placeholder with the username. It's going to show welcome back username. And we have to pass here the severity success. And that's all for our application Pocket Goods Windows version. Now we are ready for testing. For the next video, going to implement the integration test for the main view model. And we have to build our robot and to conduct the end-to-end test. So see you in the next video and happy coding.